The day Chief Okonkwo chased his wife out of his compound, he slaughtered a goat, not in mourning, but in celebration. Because after 7 years of marriage and 3 daughters, he had finally decided, a woman who cannot give me sons is worse than a curse. That night, as his wife walked barefoot into the darkness with her 3 little girls, the village priest refused to eat the meat. He only said one thing: "You are not sending them away, you are sending your future with them." Nobody understood what he meant until 20 years later, when everything began to fall apart. Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss what happens next, because it only gets darker from here. Chief Okonkwo was a respected man in the village of Umudara. He had land, he had titles, he had power, but he had no sons, and in his world, that was everything. His wife, Adaku, was gentle, respected, and deeply loved by the women in the village. But each time she gave birth, hope turned into disappointment. First daughter, second daughter, third daughter. The whispers started. Who will carry his name? Who will inherit his land? What kind of man leaves no sons behind? The pressure grew, until one evening, after drinking palm wine with other elders, Chief Okonkwo stood up and made a decision that would haunt him forever. He returned home and said, "Pack your things, take your daughters and leave my house." No argument, no tears from him, just cold silence. Adaku begged. She knelt, she cried. But he didn't even look at her. That night, she left with nothing but a wrapper, her dignity, and her 3 little girls holding her hands. Adaku walked for hours until she reached a distant town. No husband, no money, no protection. But she had something stronger, a fire to prove the world wrong. Years passed. The first daughter became a teacher. The second became a nurse. The third, the youngest, became a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, a fearless one. Meanwhile, back in Umudara, Chief Okonkwo remarried. This time, he chose a younger wife. And finally, he got what he wanted: 2 sons. The entire village celebrated. Drums, dancing, pride. At last, his name would live on. But what nobody saw was what those sons would become. They were spoiled, untouchable, raised with entitlement, not discipline. By the time they grew into men, they had already started bringing shame into the compound. First, small theft, then land disputes, then violence. But Chief Okonkwo refused to see it. They are boys, they will learn. But they didn't. One night, everything changed. One of his eldest sons was caught in a scandal, a land fraud case. Forged documents, stolen property, powerful enemies. The kind of case that destroys families. Soon, soldiers came, police investigations followed, and the whispers returned. But this time, not about daughters, about shame. Then came the final blow. The case was taken to court in the city. A crowded courtroom, tension in the air. Then the lawyer walked in, confident, calm, unshaken. Chief Okonkwo looked up and froze, because standing in front of him was his daughter, the same little girl he once watched walk barefoot into the night, now dressed in black and white, holding the power of the law. She didn't greet him. She didn't even look at him. She opened her file and began to speak. "My lord, this case is not just about land fraud. It is about greed, entitlement, and the abuse of power. Every word she spoke was like a knife. Not because she was cruel, but because she was right. And in that moment, Chief Okonkwo understood. The daughters he threw away were the ones who became honorable. The sons he protected were the ones who destroyed him. The court ruled against his son. The family name collapsed. His titles meant nothing anymore. And one evening, old and broken, Chief Okonkwo sat alone in his compound. No laughter, no pride, no legacy. Just silence and regret. Because the priest had been right all along. He didn't send his daughters away. He sent his future with them. The night after Chief Okonkwo lost the court case, someone dug up a grave. Not just any grave, his first daughter's grave. The same daughter everyone believed had died years ago. The same daughter he never spoke about. But when the villagers gathered the next morning, the coffin was open, and inside there was no body. Only a single message carved into the wood. You buried a lie. Chief Okonkwo stopped sleeping after that night, because there was something the village did not know, something even his surviving daughters did not know. Years ago, before he banished Adaku, she had given birth to 4 daughters, not 3. The first child, Amara. But Amara was born during a season the elders called the Season of Shadows. Strange things happened then. Children crying at midnight for no reason. Animals refusing to enter certain compounds. Dreams that felt too real. And Amara was not like other children. She barely cried. She stared too long. And sometimes she would speak words no child should know. The villagers began to whisper, "This one is not ordinary." Fear spread, and fear in that village always demanded sacrifice. One night, the elders came. They told Chief Okonkwo the truth he did not want to hear. If you want peace, the child must go. He resisted at first, but fear is powerful and pride is even stronger. Because at that time, he was already ashamed that his first child was a daughter, ashamed that she was different. So he made a decision no father should ever make. They told the village the child had died. A quiet burial, no mourning, no questions. But the truth? The child was buried alive. After the grave was found empty, things began to happen. Strange things. Chief Okonkwo started hearing footsteps in his compound at night. Soft, barefoot, dragging. Then whispers, calling his name the way only a child would. Papa? At first, he thought it was guilt. But then his second wife saw it too. A shadow standing by the door. Small, still, watching. And then it disappeared. Meanwhile, Adaku and her daughters were trying to rebuild their lives after the court case. But news of the opened grave reached them, and something did not sit right. Because they remembered something their mother had once said, something she never fully explained. You had an elder sister. 3 days after the grave was found empty, the first body appeared. Not killed, not injured, just drained. No blood, no wounds, no explanation. And carved into the wall above the body, in shaky, childlike handwriting, "He helped bury me." That was when the village finally understood. This was not a ghost story. This was judgment. Panic spread through Umudara like wildfire. Elders who once walked with pride now locked their doors before sunset. Mothers kept their children inside. Men who had mocked superstition began to whisper prayers in the dark. Because the pattern became clear. Every victim had been there that night, the night Amara was buried. One by one, they were being found. Not violently, not loudly, just empty. Like something had taken what made them human and left the body behind as a message. The youngest daughter refused to run. If this Amara was real, then there had to be truth buried deeper than fear. She returned to the village records, old council notes, forgotten meeting logs, fragments of history nobody cared about anymore. And then she found it. A hidden page. Names. 7 names. The men who approved the ritual cleansing that night. The men who agreed a child should die for peace. 6 names were already crossed out. Only one remained. Chief Okonkwo. By now, Chief Okonkwo was no longer a man, just a shell. Muttering, shaking, haunted. But deep down, he knew. She is coming for me. That night, the air in his compound felt wrong, heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. Then came the sound again, bare footsteps, slow, patient, getting closer. He tried to run, but his legs failed him, tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then the door opened, and she stepped in. Not as a child, not even fully human, but something in between, mud-stained, hollow-eyed, a face frozen between pain and something far worse, understanding. But this time, she did not speak immediately. Instead, she touched his forehead, and suddenly, everything changed. Chief Okonkwo saw it all again, but not from his eyes, from hers. He felt the darkness of the coffin, the crushing weight of the soil, the panic, the struggle, the moment hope turned into betrayal. And then something else, something he never knew. She did not die immediately. She survived for hours, crying, calling, begging, until her voice broke, until her body gave up, until something inside her changed. When the vision ended, Chief Okonkwo was on the floor, shaking uncontrollably. And then Amara finally spoke. Soft, calm, terrifying. You think I came for revenge? She tilted her head slightly. No, Papa. I came because you opened the door. His eyes widened. Confusion, fear, realization. And then she said the one thing that broke everything. They told you I was cursed, but I was the one holding it back. When you buried me, you did not kill me. You set it free. Suddenly, the ground beneath the compound began to tremble, low, deep, like something was moving under the earth. Not just in one place, everywhere. Across the village, dogs began to howl, babies started crying uncontrollably. The air turned cold, because what the elders feared all those years ago was never Amara. It was what lived with her, and now it was no longer contained. The youngest daughter arrived just in time. She saw her father on the ground and Amara standing over him. But she did not run, did not scream. She stepped forward. You do not have to do this. Amara slowly turned to her. For the first time, there was hesitation in her eyes, a flicker of something human, something familiar. Sister. The word barely escaped. And in that moment, the storm paused. Everything hung in balance. Because now,
this was no longer about revenge. It was about choice. If you made it to the end of this story, first of all, thank you. You already know this is the kind of content we pour everything into. Share this story with someone who you think will love it as much as you did. Drop a comment below and tell us, do you know any man who got angry simply for having daughters? And if you are new here, welcome. Subscribe and turn on notifications because we tell stories like this every single week. I'll see you in the next one.